we are talking about prefixes, and the prefixes that say not. Mostly that's what we're focusing on, but if you are talking about the prefix in, im, il, ear, those mean into or not. These are Latin prefixes, and this is also a Latin prefix. These will go on lots and lots of Latin roots, and that's why I had you start studying your Latin roots, because once you learn the definition and the spelling of that, and you put these onto it, all of a sudden your vocabulary will soar. So it's really important that you study those Latin roots so you can get these down. So let me say these sounds again for you. In, I, n. This is a closed syllable, so it's going to say its short sound. That means in, short sound. I, n, in. Im, I, im. Now the one that's interesting about this one, this prefix will go on Latin roots that begin with a B, B, M, or P's. So that's where that one goes. Now this one goes on lots of different ones. It will not start on any of these. I'm sure there's exceptions, but il, I, ul, this one goes on Latin roots that start with an L, like this. And then M, P's, and B's. That's what this one does. Ins will be lots of different ones. Now, IR, this does not say like you would expect it to in lots of other words. When it is a prefix, it says ear. And you're going to see it like this at the beginning of words, I-R-R. And it's going to say e-er, e-er, ear. When it is a vowel R syllable, it's going to say a completely different sound. So identify this as the beginning of a word, and if it's going to have a second R right here, it's going to say ear. And this will be at the beginning of words most of the time, unless you have another prefix in front of it. Okay, so now non equals not, un means not, and dis also means not. All of these mean the word not. Now, not is an adverb, and it just means you can't do it. It's not allowed. We're going to talk about the Latin prefixes with the Latin roots with the words that actually mean into. These all mean into. This in means into. Now you're going to have them have different meanings, and so you just need to know that once you get speaking English, you're going to understand that this is going to mean into, like invite. See how this will break right here. As soon as you see that you have a prefix right here, as soon as you can see that you have a prefix right here, and that's why it's important that you identify your prefixes, because then you're going to know how to decode your word. You're going to know that this word right here splits because you keep your prefix together. It's going to say invite. This right here is a closed syllable, and we talked about lots and lots of closed syllables at the very beginning of all of the lessons, and this causes this to say invite. This right here is a silent E syllable. So this E forces that I to be long. And how I was taught when I was a child, it jumps over this one consonant and it forces that I to say I. Invite. Same here, look. It's going to break and you're going to say include. Include. This is a silent E syllable. It's going to jump over and make this vowel long. So now, remember, we have A, E, I, O, and you. These are the vowels in the English language. Now, if we want to say them as their long sound, you would say the name of the letter. A, E, I, O, and U. And if you see this line across of them, if you see this line right here across the top of them, that means it's going to say the name of the vowel. It's going to say its long sound. A, E, I, O, U. Yeah.
And also sometimes Y.
Yes, and also sometimes Y. You're right, Dan, Paulchen. Now, when you are saying the long sound goes with the silent E syllable. See how this is I, this is U. Include. Now, involve, see how this has two consonants in there. See, this one only has one. So your silent E syllables only have one consonant. But see how this has two? So you know that it cannot be a silent E syllable. This one is a closed syllable, and it's going to say its short sound. Now, these are not allowed to be at the end of the English language. If you want V at the end of the English language, you have to put an E. And so you spell all words that end in the V sound with a V, then an E. And so this says involve. So you know it's going to break here because that is your prefix. And then you just say the sounds of the next one. V, ah, oo, v, volve. This E at the end is almost always silent. I would just plan, especially if you're learning English, it is going to be silent. It has to be there. There's a reason the E is there, but it's there to keep this V from being at the end. This one right here is there to make this vowel long. This one is here to make this vowel long. So, involve. And also, you're going to notice that this in will go on many, many Latin roots. This is a Latin root. Insight. This is an unusual word, unusual spelling, and you would, this IGH says I, insight. It means into. Insight means that you're seeing into maybe a person. You're having insight about what's going on with them, or if they're having a hardship. Insight could mean you're just understanding what's going on, whatever is around you. Instinct, Latin root. You know this because it's a CT. Instinct. Closed syllable, closed syllable. Instruct. Struct. Instruct. This means that you are giving guidance to somebody. Invasion. Invasion. Latin root right here. Invasion. Now look at these ones. This is a Latin root. Act is your Latin root. In these, they all mean not. You're not acting. In action. And once you put the T-I-O-N in there, that says sh when it's followed by a vowel. In action means not. Insomnia means not. Now remember, we talked about if you have N-I, or this I right here, and it's followed by a vowel, and here it's an A, then this is going to say E. That is the reason why this I says E. Insomnia. It's because it's followed by a vowel. When you have an I in the middle of a word like this, especially at the end, but lots of middle, not at the beginning, it is going to say E if it's followed by another vowel. A, E, I, O, or a U. It's going to say E. And this in means not. You're not able to sleep. That's what this means. Infamous. You're not famous. It's not a good thing. Insane. See, this is a silent E syllable. This is going to say A. A is going to be long, and this is going to be short. Insane. Now, independent. This means not dependent. Now, not dependent means that a dependent person can take care of themselves. They are adults and they can take care of themselves. But you can have adults that can't take care of themselves if they are an invalid or if they just can't take care of themselves, right? But a dependent person can take care of themselves and they are considered an adult. In means not. So Paul is independent and I take care of him. So I am a dependent person. I am dependent. Paul is independent. Now in verse, see, you have a vowel R syllables that says and then SEs at the end. They are interesting because most of the time they say z, but not in this word. It says verse. This is a Latin root, so learn how to pronounce this and spell it, verse. And I think this is the one that I gave you in one of our other lessons to memorize that. Now, here's some more. Illegal, not legal. Illogic, not logic. Illusion, not. And this is your Latin root right here. It's easy to understand with that. Illusion is making something false that looks like it's true. Okay? So that means not.
Yeah, like sometimes in a dream you could
have an illusion. Magic.
Like it feels real.
See how they all begin with L's though. But the N's, they can begin with lots. A, S, F, D, V's, right? C's. See, they can begin with lots of difference. This one only begins with the L. So the L's will not go with the N's. But look with this one. Immature. Immature. So see how this is the T-U-R-E that we talked about in another lesson. Chur. Immature. Now, remember how right here, this is an open A. This is another syllable. Open A's will say the schwa sound if it's not accented. And this one is not the accented syllable. So it's good. Immature. Immature. This means not. Where you're going to get most of the ones that mean in or into is with the prefix in. Impolite, not polite. Impolite, not polite. Impolite. Silent E syllable right here. Impose. Latin root right here. Impose. Impose. Remember, this means not. See how this is going on a P? This is going on a P. This one is on an M. Remember, B's, M's, and P's is where this prefix will go onto a Latin root. Now, they're not always on Latin roots, but they are on this prefix. The in, the M, the ill, and the ear will go on lots of Latin roots, but not always. Impose, import. This one means into. This means you are carrying something into another country. Okay? Impact means not. Imbalance, not balanced. If you look at like non-fat, closed syllable, non-fat, closed syllable, closed syllable, closed syllable, non-stop. This means not. Non almost always means not. Non-stop, nonsense, Nonsense. Now look, this is a closed syllable. And this is another one that says s at the end, when most of the time they say z at the end. Non-union. Now this is a Latin root right here, and it means one. So this means one, and it means that you are not as one. Disarm, you're not armed. Disbar, you no longer can be a lawyer. When you say the bar, that means you took the bar and now you are a lawyer in whichever country that you're in. In the United States, it means you're a lawyer for certain states, or you can take the bar for some states.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? Oh, good. So disown, that means you are no longer owning. And a lot of times when people say, I have disowned, they're disowning a family member or a person. But you can disown lots of things. Disobey. 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 Right here is unusual. This would be an unusual spelling because bay is typically spelled like this. So this is unusual. Disgust. Now this one when you're saying it fast, it says disgust. And it's hard to say, and a lot of people say, well, that's disgusting. You can't even hear the G in here. But I would try to work with the G being in there until you can say the word disgust. Disgusting. Dis means not, and gust means to eat. So when they say that's disgusting, I will not eat that food. Gust is a Latin root that means eat. It means you're not going to eat it. But people will use disgust for lots of different meanings in the United States. It doesn't just mean eat. But you will hear lots of people say that's disgusting for how people respond to comments, or how rude they were to somebody, or how they treated someone. You're going to hear
how someone eats.
Yes, or how someone eats. You're going to say that's disgusting. But gust does mean eat. But see how that falls out? Disgust. You can barely hear the G there. Undo. That means you're not going to do. Undo. Uncut. The fabric was uncut. Means not cut. Unpin. You're not pinning it anymore. Like let's say you're sewing something and you've sewn it now, and now you're unpinning it. Unsew. Let's say you've made a mistake in your sewing and now you've picked it out and it's unsewn. Unsew. Memorize every single one of these prefixes. Let's go through them again. Oftentimes you're going to see these prefixes up here on Latin roots. In, im, that goes on B's, M's, and P's. They're Latin roots. Il and ear. Non, un, and dis. This is a Latin prefix that means not. All of these mean not, and these right here can mean into also. Just depends on the word that you are using. Okay, we'll see you later. Bye.